Ladies and gentlemen, Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good day trading today. Market is up. You can see S&P is up 0.5% there. Nasdaq is actually flat, 0%, literally flat today. We did see small caps doing, I think, close to 2% or 1.5% or something like that. The banks are up close to 2%, I believe. And everything else around 0.5, 0.6. So let's re-examine this market, kind of what we left off from last night's analysis, trying to figure out what we can expect going into tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, and potentially a remainder of this month. So this is where market closed yesterday, and we talked about how the best case scenario for the bears would have been like gapping it down. We didn't see a gap down. It looks like, I wasn't watching this morning, so I'm not sure if it went up first and came down. It looks like it. It looks like we had a slight, very, very slight gap up. And then, we did see that long upper wick there. There was some attempt to make a run to the upside. My short-term moving average was in that vicinity. Pull back. Continue lower, fill this gap we talked about yesterday, and that's the first hour. And this is a second hour, and there was actually gap from before. When I zoom out, you'll see it. So that's the second hour. We opened here. It looks like it came down, filled that gap, got back up, and then continue here. That's why there's a green body there. And continued on to near to my short-term moving average on the second hour. Seller showed up, brought it down. And then third hour opened up here. That's the third hour, right? And then pretty much flat, little fluctuation up and down. Finally on the fourth hour, made some move that could break above a micro-term pivot there. So that's definitely a micro-term pivot. That's a prior support, correct? And then acting as new resistance. And then on the fourth hour, not only we broke above that pivot, we, for the first time, it looks like since this entire time here, you see my wiggly short-term moving average, that light bluish. That moving average has been acting as resistance here, 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 here. Not able to close above it here, here, here. Finally closed above it on the fourth hour. Fifth hour, we continue to march higher a little bit. Sixth hour on the last hour, it looks like some fluctuations, but now that it looks like my short-term moving average is acting as support. So there's a quick recap of what happened in the micro term just on today's price action. Let's zoom out a little bit so we get a better picture of what we're dealing with here in the short term of things. So let's look at kind of a shorter term picture here, right? So you can see in the short term, when I say short term, everybody got different terms. When I say short term, I mean, couple weeks, right? Couple weeks, maybe even 2-3 weeks or something like that. But pretty much since, it's been a couple of weeks since, it kind of topped out back in October 12th. So that's just 10 days ago. So it's been about a week and a half, right? So about a couple of weeks, that's what I mean when I say short term. So looking at things in the short term, we talked about this entire week, this week, we still have lower highs and lower lows, right? We still have that this market trending to the downside, despite the fact that we did see a bullish run today. You can see here, right, last 5 hours, I still have to give the benefit of the doubt to the sellers in the short term, because where the trend is, we got the lower highs and lower lows, right? And we've seen these kind of moves before. We saw a run here, That got rejected. We saw a run here. That got rejected. We're looking at the run here, right? So looking at the purely price action point of view, we definitely have, lower highs and lower lows in cultivation. And we're kind of hitting that resistance level now, or that near that level now, right? That's the resistance here and here and here. So it'll be important to see how this market is going to behave in the next couple trading sessions. If we zoom out a little bit more, though, you'll get a little bit better idea where the market is at, looking at things more of a midterm. Now we're looking at things in the midterm. When I say midterm, I mean maybe about a month or so, right? So we're looking at going back to that September high, right? So September, we're almost end of October here. So we're looking at about, month and a half, month and 3 weeks price action here. And that's what I mean when I say midterm. So in the midterm sense, we have a different picture, right? We have low, higher low, and we're in the vicinity of higher low. We got the higher highs. Not to mention that this is important pivot, right? We've been talking about this pivot here. Actually, let me draw that again. We're talking about this important pivot right here, this level, right? 345-ish to 340-ish level. That's an important pivot, right? That's a prior resistance levels here, here, here. That's when price came down, right? That's when we saw pretty steep decline. Market managed to get above it. And when that process, what is it, market has done? Well, market has cultivated higher high against this high. So these were lower highs before with lower lows. That has changed when this high or this high is now higher than this high right here, right? So we can say that we're no longer in the downtrend. We were in a downtrend back in September, but looking at things in the midterm picture, we're actually in an uptrend. We talked about how just earlier in the short term, we're in a downtrend, right? Right here, we're in a downtrend in the short term, but in the midterm, we are actually in an uptrend, right? We got that higher highs and higher lows. And we've been trying to figure out this entire week, which level is this market is going to cultivate higher low. And that's what we're trying to figure out here. Not that, we're in a downtrend in the midterm. We are in an uptrend in the midterm. Short term, we're in a downtrend. So where are we going to establish that another higher low since the market has already cultivated higher high and higher lows? Is it going to be at, 342? Is it going to be at 340? Is it going to be at 338? And that's been the question, right? So going into tomorrow, my short-term sentiment has changed just a little bit, mostly because of where my oscillator is at. So when you just look at the price action alone, definitely we're still in lower highs, right? But because we have that bullish divergence, this is what I call double bullish divergence, right? So we got that lower lows, and the oscillator is cultivating higher lows. And definitely this one has some angle to it. This one definitely has an angle, that steeper angle here. And this one definitely, you can see that's definitely a lower low here, right? So you can see we got that higher lows going on my oscillator and lower lows on the price action. That's what we call positive divergence or bullish divergence, but it's been happening with the 2-3 peaks here or valleys. So we got that double bullish divergence. This is actually rare to witness something like this, especially in the short term charts that we're looking, because we're looking at 65-minute. I don't think we've ever seen double bullish divergence since I've been analyzing this market since the March lows. This is first time. And because it hasn't been confirmed, I've been tweeting things out this morning that for this bullish divergence to be confirmed, the price needs to reclaim above 346.66, right? So you can see we got the falling resistance, horizontal pivot. If this it can get above it and then do something like this, and with that process, you will see this oscillator start to really expand to the upside, breaking above this resistance. So looking at this kind of an overall picture, not just the short term, but looking at the short term, midterm, and the oscillator and the overall sentiment, I'm going to label this market in the short term neutral. I don't want to quite give it bullish yet. I don't even want to give it bearish yet either. So I'm going to kind of say neutral. Once we clear above 346.66, I'll give it neutral to bullish. We're talking short term. And then once we start getting above here, 350, then it's going to be bullish at the time. I'm going to label. So yesterday, I know I labeled this market short-term bearish just because we have lower highs and lower lows. And at the time, I did have my oscillator actually crossing down on the last night's analysis. And I talked about the short-term analysis that sentiment is a change pretty quickly. That's why we look at the short term, we look at the midterm, right? So short term, I'm neutral. So it actually improved from last night's analysis. It was bearish yesterday in the short term. Now I'm neutral because I see that double bullish divergence. It hasn't been confirmed yet. It needs to get above 346.66. In the midterm, neutral to bullish. And it's same, I think this probably pretty much like this entire week, we've been neutral to bullish in the midterm. Neutral because you see my midterm moving average is now moving sideways. As you can see, we're not rising anymore. We're not declining either though, right? You see that we're not declining. We're moving sideways, so that's a neutral. Bullish because we have higher highs here and higher lows, right? So that's why in the midterm, I'm neutral to bullish. Now, as of today, as of this moment with the data that is in, we are short-term neutral. If we want to turn that to bullish, buyers want to get above 346.66 and hold above it. And then we want to see the oscillator start getting up, breaking above that resistance there. So we got, with today's price action, a lot has happened. Just what we didn't see yesterday kind of showed up today. And this is what I mean is that sometimes it takes time to get a little bit more information from the market, and then you can adjust your portfolio accordingly. I'll come back for you guys tomorrow. We'll do the market update video tomorrow. We'll look at things a little bit more extensively. We'll look at different indices. We'll look at the daily chart. We'll look at a longer term picture. We'll look at the gold and Bitcoin. If I have time, I'll look at a couple stocks. We'll see. And I'll come back for you guys with that. Enjoy your evening and good luck trading tomorrow.